This series of videos is going to take you through the process of reading, planning, and writing the text analysis response, or also known as the Part 3, because it is the third section of the Regents exam. And I think it's the most difficult section of the Regents exam because it takes the most sophisticated thought. You have to juggle different ideas in your head at once and talk about how they interact and intertwine. And we'll get into all that. But the first thing we need to do is take a look at the directions. So the directions say, your task. Closely read the text provided on pages 18 and 19 and write a well-developed text-based response of 2 to 3 paragraphs. This is key. 2 to 3 paragraphs. It's not an essay. It's a response. So they're not expecting a piece of writing that has a clear beginning, middle, end, although we're going to try to provide that to some degree. But this is not an essay, it's a response. They're asking you to respond quickly in 2 to 3 paragraphs about this piece of writing. In your response, identify a central idea in the text and analyze how the author's use of one writing strategy, literary element or literary technique or rhetorical device, develops this central idea. Okay, so basically we're doing two things. We're looking for a central idea, and we're looking for one writing strategy. And those are the two things you have to hold in your mind. You have to analyze how they work together, how the author uses the writing strategy to develop the central idea. Then it says, use strong and thorough evidence from the text to support your analysis. Do not simply summarize the text. That's important. You may use the margins to take notes as you read and scrap paper to plan your response. Write your response in the spaces provided on pages 7 through 9 of your essay booklet. Okay, and then it gives you the guidelines. Be sure to identify a central idea in the text. Now, obviously, the words central idea are important, but this is also important. There isn't one central idea they're asking you to find. It's not a scavenger hunt. They're asking you to identify an idea that could be a central idea of the text. So if you're reading and you're not sure what the big idea of the passage is, as long as you can find one of the main ideas, then you can work with that. Okay? Analyze how the author's use of one writing strategy, literary element or literary technique or rhetorical device, develops this central idea. Again, they're asking for one. Sometimes we get students who write a response that discusses multiple writing strategies. It'll discuss tone in one paragraph, and it'll discuss a metaphor in the next paragraph. You don't want to do that. They're not asking you for more than one. They're asking you to fully develop how the author uses one writing strategy. Okay? Examples include characterization, conflict, denotation, connotation, metaphor, simile, irony, language use, point of view, setting, structure, symbolism, theme, tone, etc. So they give you a list to work with. You'll always have this on the test, just in case your mind goes blank and you can't think of any writing strategies. They give you a list to work with. And some of the stuff might be helpful. Some of it won't. Like theme. What's the difference between theme and central idea? They're basically the same thing. So if you choose theme, you're going to use a theme to analyze a theme. I'd say stay away from theme. I'd say stay away from point of view unless there's a really distinct point of view. By language use, they mean diction. Structure could be used in some cases, but I'd say it's rare. So probably don't want to have that as your first option. The best ones to use that they have, I would say tone and diction, because those are always there for you. Is it conceivable that you could get a passage that has no metaphors, no similes, no irony, none of those things? Yeah, you might get a passage that has none of those things. But could you ever get a passage that doesn't have a tone or doesn't have diction? No, those will always be there for you. Likewise, if you do find one that has similes, you are very limited. If you choose simile, you're very limited to those couple sentences that are actually similes. And whether or not they go with your central idea, you don't have control over. But if you choose tone or diction, you have control of what sentences you choose, because every sentence would have tone, every sentence would have diction. So those are two very useful writing strategies. Doesn't mean you should pick them every time, because if you find a passage that has two perfect metaphors that align with your central idea, then feel free to use them. You should, if they're perfect. But if you can't find any of those things, or you find some but you're not sure if they really go with your central idea, you don't have to panic, because there is always tone and diction. And if it's a fiction piece, then mood would work just as well as tone, because sometimes they do use fiction. Next bullet. Use strong and thorough evidence from the text to support your analysis. Organize your ideas in a cohesive and coherent manner. Maintain a formal style of writing, and follow the conventions of standard written English. So this means follow the rules. Capitalization, punctuation. This means no slang. Obviously, you want to organize, and I'll show you how to find and use strong and thorough evidence in the following videos.